What's happening, y'all? Welcome to Hustle and Heart, where we give you real talk from real people out here living life for real. I'm your host, William Hustle, and I'm here with my big brother and co-host, Big Pat.
What's up?
And we're continuing this series of Get It Out. On this episode, we'll be talking about breaking destructive cycles in our family. So let's get it. What's going on, brother?
Nothing. This is really a good topic because whenever we find ourselves in patterns of pain or suffering or any just destructive behaviors, alcoholism, addiction
Yes,
with
sir.
me, a lot of these things are just destructive patterns that have been passed down
Yes, sir.
from one generation to the next.
Yes, sir.
In my family, they're all a bunch of big drinkers. They're Irish. I mean, they're big drinkers. So, one of the
Well, my
things,
family ain't Irish, and they some big drinkers, especially my dad's side of the family.
you don't have to be Irish to drink. Yeah, but yeah, the definitely like the people that you emulate, the people that you grow up to want to be like. They might have some. One of the side things on that is that inadvertently you could pick up some of their bad traits.
Yes, sir.
And that's really what this is about. Breaking bad cycles that again oftentimes have been passed down to us from a loved one or just from generation to generation.
Well, what's really shocking to me, because I never looked at it from that point of view. You told me that I was an addict, and my addiction was taken from people in the streets
Right.
and destroying families, selling drugs,
Right.
and I loved it. I loved risking my life if I felt like somebody had the right amount of money or drugs for me to go take and put that money in my pocket. So I just want to tell you thank you for that, because I never thought I was an addict,
Yeah.
because I thought an addict was just someone who allowed drugs to take control of them. So for that, I want to thank you, sir.
No, well, I think something that we all have to realize is that addiction doesn't always mean crack cocaine or meth. Like
Well,
you know,
that's why we here.
addiction can be food. It can be social media. It could be it could be
Talk that talk.
There's a lot of things that addiction can be that take away and destroy you and not allow you to be your best self, because when we're focused on some of these things that we know are negative, it's hard for us to be fully in line with self-love and loving ourselves. 'Cause
Yes, sir.
if you're hurting people, you don't love yourself that much. There's a disconnect there at some
Yes, sir.
point. When you truly love yourself, you just want to put that stuff out to everybody else so they can feel it as well. And I think you would know, you're more loving now than you ever could think of being when you were on the
Most
street.
I was always loving, but I knew when it came to the streets, I couldn't have any love.
Right.
Um,
That'd get you killed, wouldn't it?
Most definite. That's why they say if you jump off the porch, jump all the way off the porch, because you jumping halfway off the porch can get you killed or get your family killed. So I had to be a person that my mom didn't know when I was in them streets. That's why it was so easy for me to lie to her, because I gave her son, but when I was in the streets, I had to be that person.
Right.
But there's even scientific evidence that bad patterns are passed down from one generation to the next. Some people call it bad cycles. Others call it generational curses.
Yeah. Huh.
What's your opinion? Yes. What's your opinion?
You already know that's 110% dead on. I idolized growing up. I wanted to be just like my Uncle Don. I wanted to be like my dad. My dad was a big old power lifter.
Yes, sir.
These guys drank beer, and they're beer drinkers. My Uncle Don, unfortunately, has passed, but my dad still a big beer drinker, and we had a close bond.
Uh-huh.
You know, and I love my dad to death. Still talk to him all the time. One of the things though is that one of the byproducts of wanting to be so much like my dad, I mean, and trying to emulate a lot of the stuff he did, was that alcoholism came with that, and with that alcoholism came other addictions.
Hey, you ready for the quote of the day?
I sure am, and I got my glasses.
He has his glasses today, you all.
I'm great. I'm ready to read.
We deserve that, man.
I just want the people to know I can read.
He think he's 20 years old, and he don't want to accept that we have to wear glasses now. But it's like I tell my friends, don't get it twisted. Throw a couple punches at me and see how fast they come back. I need my glasses to read. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
So let's get to our quote of the day.
All right, here we go. So this is I saw this as I was scrolling through some stuff today, and Trina Hall wrote, "Let your unhappiness and your frustrations be the fuel to break your vicious cycles." And I mean, nothing else really, I think, signifies that, because we know when we're in these destructive cycles. There was, I tell the story all the time of, I remember going to get crack, and there was a part of me that's just so wanted to be with my kids, so wanted to be the dad that I knew I could be, so wanted me just to be anywhere but on my way down there to get it. I stopped at every exit on the way down to Vine Street on 71. I got off at Ridge. I got off at Red Bank. I got off at Dana. I was trying to get back home, but the good news is that love did end up winning. It got me here. That's what's here now. But it lost that night, and it was just that when you're really stuck in that the unhappiness, the frustration, the pain, you get to a point where it's like, I'm worthy of something more. I'm worthy of something better. But to do that, you have to get out. You get comfortable with that pain and suffering. You get comfortable being in that cycle sometimes. It's like because the thought of change scares you 10 times more, and that sounds crazy.
The thing that scared me about addiction is that on my dad's side of the family, a lot of my uncles were addicts, and my mom made sure that I knew that I had to be better than that. So I never really became a drinker. Like, if I drink one drink, I'm wasted.
Yeah.
You and I made some bad decisions from people that we idolize. So now we're trying to show them that you can idolize someone, but you don't have to pick up every trait.
Right. You don't have to pick up on or pick up on all their bad traits, but I think one of the more realistic and unfortunate things is that, it's not just addiction or alcoholism that you pick up an attitude too. Like, if you're introduced to violence, you're going to have a propensity for violence. You're going to want to be, you're going to have no problem solving skills. You're going to see that the way that problems are dealt with is in a violent manner. And that was rubbed off on me as well. So, there were several different areas growing up where, you got a little something from here and a little something from here. But again, the cool thing is that you can break these cycles, and it doesn't mean that you don't love these people. It just means that you need to
break the cycle.
Yeah, you need to be your best self. We're calling my buddy Zach. Hey, man, how you doing?
Well, how you doing, brother Zach?
Hey, what's going on? Well, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, brother.
Could you talk a little bit about in your own life how those cycles have not only influenced you, affected you, and then how you've kind of, once you've moved past that, still kept these people in your life, or if there's been more of a split? But yeah, just I know your story, but I'd like to just hear from in your own words, what your experience with that is.
Okay. Like growing up and stuff, like, of course, my dad was in prison, and he was in there for, I think, armed robbery for robbing some drugstores. And, being younger, A lot of the guys that I looked up to either sold drugs or were smoking weed or any of that kind of stuff. So, that's really what, like with my dad being in prison and, going through that when I was a younger kid, like I thought that was the cool thing. Like there wasn't, I didn't look up to like, NBA stars or baseball stars or anything like that. Like selling drugs was the cool thing. Going to prison was like, that was like, basically my dad told me that was my rite of passage. I wasn't a man until I got my first number.
Right.
And
Hold on, your dad told you that?
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, like that's pretty much my whole life. I thought that was my destiny to go to prison, or I was gonna deal drugs the rest of my life. There wasn't like there was no intention of me getting older. Like I never thought I would see 36 years old. That just wasn't in the cards for me.
Right.
And especially to be a free man, sobriety and all that. Like, my mom's always kind of like done Nar-Anon and stuff like that. So, I kind of dabbled in sobriety when I was younger. I knew all about 12 steps. My grandma was a drug and alcohol counselor at one time. So, I mean, between that and like, like my best friend and my core group of friends, that was kind of, I guess my saving grace was having, my mom be involved with, Nar-Anon and all that. My friends weren't really into drugs,
So you did have some positive. You had some positive influences and supporters, and I can relate to that.
Listening to you,
Yeah.
Zach, it's like listening to Pat. No, seriously, brother, and I mean it's a beautiful thing because I'm gonna read a couple things to you, and I'm like I'm real anxious to really hear what you're gonna say because you was really starting to answer the questions. But before I do that, I'm gonna say how you said your dad told you those things. Now, before I had to sit back. This was like 3 months before I got out of prison. And I was locked up 13 years and 9 months, something like that. And my sister passed. She was my cousin, but she was more like my sister. And before then, I thought that, hey, look, I was a street guy here, my son in the streets, like, hey, he can handle it. And I thought it was cool. I thought it was okay. And even when I got out, I didn't want him to be in the streets, but I'm like, if that's what he chose, like I made it through, he can make it through. But I never told him that. And to this day, everything that I was, how I thought, is how my son thinks to this day. And it was the reason that Pat said we need to do a show on fathers and sons, because he's seen how I felt and how my son felt. But I got these couple questions I want to ask you, and I'm gonna give you back the floor.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
say something about that?
Yeah, please.
When my dad got older and stuff, like, I mean, my dad taught me, how to cook crack, how to sell this, how to get this. He taught me everything, about being polished and not drawing attention to yourself. He taught me everything. But like the older he got, right before he passed, I was in a lot of trouble. I was just a hot mess. And he saw, the things that he had influenced in my life. And he started reaching out and, trying to get me to change my life and to do better. Like, that's what I kind of like cling on to with my dad. Like,
Yeah.
I had to get that to your dad, brother. I had to.
yeah.
Because it's never too late for change. Only a fool don't change.
No, I mean, like, that's the way I like to remember my dad. I mean, he taught me a lot of bad, but he also taught me to survive,
Yes, sir.
just that you can make something out of nothing, you know. I mean, so I do have a lot of respect for my dad, and you know, I mean that's the way I like to remember him. Not really for the bad things he did, but you know, yeah,
That's
that's all I really have on that.
man. That's absolutely. There's no other way to look at it. People make mistakes.
Period.
And that just like your dad did that to you, somebody influenced your father before that. I would bet my next paycheck that wasn't just brought to your dad out of some epiphany that some light switch went on.
But
It's like,
sometimes
we're going to be a drug.
we only teach what we know.
That's what I'm saying. No, his
Like
dad
I
his
only
dad was
knew
taught.
the streets.
Your dad had to be taught that from someone else. So that's another destructive cycle that I'm sure not only went from whatever generation to your dad, then passed down to you. So again, these cycles, it's not just something that just pops up. The alcoholism in my family, I mean, is generation to generation to generation. I mean, the Irish, you know, it's just like they joke about it, but so much divorce and you know, assaults and domestic violence and all that stuff, and it centers around alcohol and these destructive cycles.
But I could put a bottle in front of you right now, and it don't bother you.
Nah, man, because I don't
Like it doesn't.
That ain't me.
Like it don't bother you. Zach, I'm finna give you this, and don't wait for us to say speak. Speak right after. I'm about to read you 2 quotes, and I want you to just give us you. And after you give it, I want Pat to give it. Because I have to see how this go. I need both of your opinions on this, and because I see that's where we're going with it. A lot of people are living cycles that are killing them, keeping them from living their best lives. We get so used to being comfortable with destructive behaviors and environments, we're blind to what's really going on. Go ahead, preach to the people, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I can say, you know, like I've gotten clean many different times, like, but this time that I got clean, you know, I mean, I found a relationship with my higher power within the last couple years. You know, a lot of things have changed, but the biggest thing that, like, you know, just cleanse my soul is the best way I can put it. Is when I started forgiving everybody. Like I don't have grudges towards other people right now, or any resentments for like me growing up the way I did, or the things that happened when I was a child. Like, and I'm a happy person. Like, you know, I can speak freely on all that stuff, but I don't have that baggage anymore to where, you know, it was just dragging me down. It was killing me. Like I was a miserable person. And now I'm probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
That's the biggest thing about the whole healing process, and I think you'd agree to a point as well, Zach. Like not having to carry all that pain, all that stuff, all that resentment, all that hate with you is so freeing. It's like you lose 400 pounds overnight. You know?
Oh yeah, I mean it. It's like you can actually breathe. You don't have the weight of the world on your chest.
I'd pushed everybody out of my life. And I'm driving to work. And again, it's like there's no one in my life, but as I'm driving to work, I look in the rearview mirror and that demon's there. And then I look in the side seat and there's a shadow person there. And then I look back and then there's another shadow person sitting by the demon. And I'm like, you know, you get to a point when you can no longer, it's not that you can't lie to anybody else, but you can't lie to yourself anymore, because that's our thing. I mean, if we lie to ourselves to the point until we can't lie to ourselves anymore. And I think that's the deciding, you know, that's when the light switch either hits that you get busy living or you get busy dying. And some of us die. And some of us, like Zach and myself, are here to talk to and shine a light so that we can prevent that from happening.
But what did you do? You made a decision to what?
Oh, I made a decision that was it, just to change. Yeah.
You broke the cycle.
Broke the cycle.
You broke the cycle. Zach.
Yeah.
What did it take for you to realize you were in one?
Really, I mean, it's kind of funny. Pat said July 2017. Mine happened May 2nd, 2017. When my girl died, I seen all the pain that, one, that it caused me, and it caused, a ton of people were devastated by it. But you know, after she died, like, man, I kept on chasing. Like, I just wanted to be with her. I mean, that was my heart and my soul. And like, you know, at that time, I was so alone, and you know, nobody wanted to come around me. I was overdosing all the time, and you know, just to see all the pain and hurt I put my family through, I know how bad it's hurt everybody, and I want to break the cycle of, you know, all the chaos and damage that um, the men in my life, the men in my brother's life, my mom's life, you know, um, have done to them.
Once you break this cycle, people will say, and like I know, one of my main worries were, you know, I'm not gonna. My dad and I are so close. I see him all the time. I'm up there having beers. Once I don't drink anymore, and it has played out that way. We've seen each other less. We talk on the phone though all the time, and we have great conversations. And I love my dad to death, but sometimes we're apprehensive to break these cycles because we feel like we're going to lose the relationships with those that are actually introduced us to these destructive cycles. You know, it's like you can't fully pull away. You get so used to being comfortable being in that place that the thought of breaking away from it and not seeing somebody that's still in that cycle is more than you can bear sometimes. And it keeps you in it longer. What would you say to those that, you know, are a little apprehensive and are worried as far as am I not going to have that relationship with these people, or what if you know, what if I can't do this without them because they've always been in my life, but unknowingly or knowingly, again, they're the ones that have, you know, caused just to get involved in this thing to begin with.
I mean, I look at it like this, like, what have those people done in my life? They've just brought me down, and, you know, they haven't helped build me up, you know. So those people, I mean, they might come back in your life at a later time, but, you know, the way I'm looking at my life right now is like I'm trying to be surrounded by people that are going to get to the next level, that are going to push me, and we're all on that same level of, you know, just keep moving forward. You said something about the energy, you know, people give off, and you know, I'm looking for that energy,
Right.
like, you know, to say, to bring me further in life, or, you know, to help me excel. Like, I don't, you know, don't let the people in your past bring you down. Like, they're not good for you. Just, you
Even if
know,
they're even if they're your loved ones. I mean, it doesn't mean we don't love them. It just means that, you know, they don't always have a seat at our table. But I mean, we don't love them. We don't stop loving them because we're breaking these cycles. You know, I think that's a little bit of a misconception. Like, oh, you're not doing this anymore, so you obviously you love this person less because, you know, you just can't be around them. That it's a different vibration. It's a different, you know, it's not what you want to be around.
But the thing that get it out is because regardless if my dad or whomever, I might have followed the destructive path, they can't get it out for me. You have to get it out for yourself.
Right.
And this was the reason why we decided to not make another call, and that we just wanted to talk to you, Zach, because I don't do fugazi. And
that's one of my favorite words.
hey, listen, my wife hate that word. Like, oh, there you go with that fugazi. Well, if it's fugazi,
Right.
I have to speak.
Right.
That's fugazi. I don't do that. But you gave us your truth. You gave us your whole. That's what I'm saying. Talking to you is like talking to Big Pat. When you give your truth, then can't nothing come out of it but goodness. Even if your truth is, I've made bad decisions, but we respect your truth because we're talking to real people, living their real lives, dealing with real issues. And we don't have time for fugazi out here. So we want to thank you for sharing your truth with our listeners, Zach. And it feels like one day we need to have you here in person with us.
Oh yeah.
We do practice
I'd
social
enjoy it.
distance. So you being here with us, they just need to see, like, they need to see real. They need to see someone expression when he say, look, I made these decisions because of these reasons, but I also acknowledge I was making bad decisions and I chose to make better ones. So I want to thank you for coming on our show today, Brother Zach, and I'll be looking to talk to you soon.
Hey Zach,
Thank you. I enjoy it.
Hey man, really appreciate it, and nothing but love for you, brother. I'll be in touch very soon.
Thank you, Brother
Thank you,
Zach.
guys. It was an honor.
Thank you for
Thank you, guys.
thank you for getting it out.
Yeah, man. Have a great night, brother.
Hey,
All right, brother. Thank
you
you.
too, guys.
All right, bye now.
Bye.
Get help. Get it out. There are resources, books, therapy, exercises you can do to break the cycle. When you know that you're not being the best role model, then you have to take the bull by the horn and take the responsibilities that you are being a bad example for those that you are responsible for. How do you break the cycle?
Said I lied to myself for years. I was on meth selling 5 cars a day, and I really thought I had all my shit together.
Yes, sir.
So the first step is actually realizing that you're in a destructive cycle.
Yes, sir.
You got to recognize what it means for your family and your loved ones. I think when you're deciding that you are in a destructive cycle, then over time, once you heal you, then you have to start to try to see what you've done to those closest to you, like with my boys. It's amazing since I've decided to quit drinking and doing heavy drugs that my life and my boys' life has changed. I mean, it's a 180. I mean, they were all getting in trouble. When I was using, they all had run-ins with the law and dealing drugs, whatever. And then as soon as I'm changing myself, they did too, and it's a great thing. When you, even after you decide that you want to change, then comes really one of the bigger battles you face, in that you have to fill that void with something. You have to love yourself enough to fill that void with positive things. I work out, I work out.
Right, but
I love
But the thing is, man, I thought I loved myself. Like, no one could have told me that I didn't love myself in the streets, man.
Yeah.
And here it is, that took me 40 years old, 5 years ago, to realize that I didn't love myself because I was risking my life, but I thought I did.
People, if you don't love yourself, if you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to do 14 years in prison, you don't love yourself.
But I thought I did.
Of course you did. I didn't think I had a problem, but I had a crack pipe in my back pocket.
What?
So,
What helped you?
What helped me?
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, after my grandfather passed, and I don't want to get into a big thing on spirits and the energy and entities and stuff like that, but I do believe in a spirit world. And after my grandfather passed, he stayed with me, and he stayed with me until I got sober.
Period.
And he helped. I wasn't fighting those demons on my own. My grandfather was right there helping me the whole time.
I remember you told me.
I saw him when I overdosed.
But you told me he didn't get to see you.
No, he never got to see me right now. But again, no, I want to rephrase that. He knew that I beat it.
Okay.
Because I felt him with me up until once I finally went into rehab and was in there for 90 days. After I got out, I didn't feel him. I always felt him there before, because there was always a lot of bad stuff. But there would be times when I was up for days that I would see him fighting these demons. There would be this wolf that would come out. You manifest everything when you're up for days at a time on meth. But not only my grandfather's love, but my mother always believed in me,
I mean, man, you got to give applause when
Yeah.
applause is due, man.
My
Because
grandmother as well. My grandma, last thing she said, and she did get to see it, which was great. But the last thing my grandmother said Thanksgiving 2 years ago when she passed on Thanksgiving Day, but she was coherent and she said, I said, Grandma, I came back, and she goes, I knew my boy would come back. My baby, I knew my boy was coming back.
See, those are words that me as a father, me as a man, I pray I could get there one day, but that's why there's no love like a mother's love, man.
No.
That love that a mom can give you it's tremendous. A father will back up, allow a person to be grown, whether they're grown or not, but if they're making those mental decisions, a man will step back, but not a mother. A mother's going to stay there and fight and believe and pray and all those things for their children. And I can't let this go toward, just toward the women, but man, I know your story, and I heard your mom say she just knew her baby was still in there. And
ever since then, though, she's kind of said, I kind of just went on a tear. But yeah, there were times where she thought I was going. I mean, that right before I quit in July of 17, that 4th of July, I'd been up for several days on meth. And looking back at those pictures, my face was sunk in. I don't think I had much longer left if I decided to stay on that path. I think and actually, like I said, that day that I didn't go into work and I was seeing the shadow people and the demons, I just had said, I'm going to go down and I got a half gallon of vodka. I was going to hang myself. I was done.
I knew I was going to be done.
Yeah.
Norwood ran up in my house. Lachlan ran up in my house. Corain ran up in my house. I knew I was going to get done if my mom didn't find the right words to make me hear her. Big Pat, we normally end with a quote of the day.
I actually got one that I really like. This one is just something that we should always stick with. But you live with your thoughts, so be careful what they are. And the one that I really liked that went with today's episode, but I picked the other one, was the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of loving yourself puts a ceiling on your dreams, locks doors of opportunity, and traps you inside vicious cycles of insanity.
Once again, our quote of the day. Accept your flaws, how you accept your goodness. Know that even though you're making a bad decision, you can make a better decision. Choose your life and choose life over everything. And the universe and God will put you in the right position if you just allow yourself to be great.
Much love, everyone. This has been a great episode tonight, and real happy that we got this in. Something that really it's not just a one-show topic, because we all have cycles, destructive cycles, that we get through them, and then other stuff presents itself to us. So we always have to be mindful of the patterns that we start to create into habits, and if those habits are going to take away from our peace.
Period. Point blank. So thank you all. You've been listening to Hustle and Heart, where we give you real talk from real people out here living life for real. I'm your host, William Lyles, and if you like what you've heard, feel free to subscribe and share. You can head over to williamlyles.com to stay connected. Remember that when you know who you are, you can be free anywhere.